if it's something unethical, that we could advise, we could give advice as, I really think smoking is bad, but we shouldn't judge them on their religion, but on their behavior. If we think, uh, we think it's unethical, but it's unhealthy, then I mean, unethical, to me is like, how am I gonna put this? A bit abnormal, like swearing. That'd be unethical. But to me, smoking is more like a habit that you can say, smoking is bad for your health. That's not ethics. Saying that you swear too much, you better watch your mouth. So smoking is more like a
well, it's a personal habit. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, you can't. The expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. Well,
like I said, we're all adults. We shouldn't be told by our friends, what to do and what not to do. We can think about it for ourselves.
Well, I think where Rashid is coming from, though, he's coming from a little bit different position, because I think where he's coming from, he's looking at this from a religious standpoint, that in his religion maybe that these things are not permissible, okay,
right.
and so he's looking at this, his convictions are based upon his religious view, not a personal habit view. So that's the difference. He's looking at this from that. I can go to somebody like you said, Jamie, and I can
already
say,
I told you that actually I don't like to impose my decision, but at least I should just say, okay, this thing is not. But one thing I like to say here, I like to add here, that I like to send a message. I think it will be. I like to send a message to the minds of people, not to the ears, not to the ears of people. Because if I just say, okay, this is not good or that is not good, then he will not obey me, because it is not. Most of the people will be reactive. But if I can send a message to their minds in inner way and very technical way, then they will easily be able to capture it, and they will easily follow it. I mean, subconsciously, and they will not understand that we are following this thing, that sort of thing. But if we try to, try to impose our decision with force, it will not work. And it will not be fair.
Okay. If I misread your intentions, Rashid, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and so Rose, since you started this, who has gone so far? Just Rashid?
Sorry.
Was Rashid were you the first person that went?
Yes, he was the first person, and it took so long.
Sorry.
It's okay. So, well, Rose, did you want to tell us what you think?
Yes, I just wanted to mention something beside what he said, because my opinion with him is somehow the same. Sorry.
Okay.
My place is a little bit crowded.
That's okay.
Excuse me.
I see we're taking. I see we're making this more of a discussion than a debate, right?
Yeah, we're doing discussion. We're not doing debate. Yeah, we didn't have enough people in the beginning, so go ahead, Rose.
Okay, I think that, as you see that, even because I'm teaching in a school, and I can see that little by little, day by day, we are losing our ethics. And I think it's because we think that we are getting to get this belief that ethics are something subjective. But I think that when it comes to our children, we have to teach them, and when they are going to do something wrong ethically, we have to stop them by any means. I mean, not forceful.
Oh, we lost her.
Okay, go ahead, Rose.
Rose, we lost you.
Yeah, one Rose.
Rose.
Well, we'll give. Okay, so one person. Okay, so okay. So what we'll do? Give me a second. Let me turn off my phone alarm clock. I'll be right back.
Well, yeah. One thing about ethics is that you can live by your own ethics, but in my opinion, you shouldn't. Like I said, you shouldn't impose. You can advise someone on what to do. You shouldn't feed them. You can't say,
Hello, sorry.
Hi, Rose.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. I lost the connection, I think.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
You can't spoon feed. What? Sorry. You want to go ahead, Rose?
Okay, I don't know to what part of my.
You were talking about children. You're talking about children losing their ethics.
Yes. So I think to some age,
You can make a Rose.
I can hear my voice is echo.
Shut up. Stop with me.
Yeah, Jamie, mute your microphone, please.
I've heard that.
Okay. Yeah.
Jamie is so funny. Oh my god.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think to some ages, I mean, tell our children to get to some ages like at least 14, perhaps we have to teach them. We have to raise them with some ethics. We have to tell them what is right and what is wrong. So I can say it's something subjective. And no matter whether it is a religious ethic, whether it is a social ethic, or any kind of ethics, you can say that. But after that age is when you think that your kid is grown up and he is mature enough or she is mature enough to decide good and bad, between good and bad, then for him or for her, it's okay, then they can choose. But when it comes to people, I mean, because based on our religion, it is said that if you see that someone is doing something wrong, if you see that the person will listen to you, and if you see that the person is obedient, kinda, and the situation, there is no one else for her or for him to be ashamed of what he or she has done wrong, so you can say that, dear, I think this is not something correct. You have to make a change, blah, 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 things like that. And it is recommended actually in our religion. And also if something is good to be done, so you can go on and ask those people who are interested in doing something good. So you can tell them, yes, this is something good, and you can give advice. You can do that. But personally, as for myself, I agree with what Rashad said. For me, in this age, my ethics are subjective.
Okay. So interesting view, like with Rashid. So I guess I have a question for you. Okay, based upon what you said. Okay. So when we live in a society, particularly in a society where there are multiple or diversity of religions, diversity of ethnic backgrounds, right? Black, white, Asian, etc. Maybe a diversity of cultures as well. Okay. You'll often find, for an example, where I live, I remember we used to have this couple that would come to my house every Sunday, and they were Christian. And they would say, hey, we want to talk to you about, your belief, and we want to try to, help you to find the right way to God, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I would respectfully tell them, no, thank you. Okay. Because I already, no. And the reason I grew up in a Christian environment. I grew up going to church. Okay. That's how I grew up. That's how I learned some of my ethics. Okay. But I believe that my personal belief is my personal belief. It's not somebody else's personal belief. So I don't feel an obligation to go tell people how they should feel, believe. Okay, I believe that that's a personal choice.
Right, like they said.
But I know that let me finish, please. So I know in some religions, though, people feel obliged. They feel obliged to pass on to other people their belief. Okay, and I understand that. I get it. It's like
yes,
I said.
yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So this couple that came to my house all the time, I was always respectful. I didn't get angry at them. I just said no, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the kind of thing that, again, when we think about ethics, and you use the word subjective, because it is based upon, I had a comment with Jamila yesterday, and it's actually related to this. What we said is we all start, I think in most cases, we start with a common foundation, okay? In general, most of us learn that things like stealing is wrong, lying is wrong, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay. But as we grow up and become adults and have our own life experiences, our ethics can evolve. They can be modified a little bit because of our actual life experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why.
Go
ahead.
I wanted to say that the evolve is a better word. We cannot say that it will turn into a better ethic. Sometimes it go worse when we grow up.
Oh yeah, no. I think. Well, in that case, they may devolve, right? They, devolve and evolve. Okay. So the point is that they're not. It's not necessarily static. Okay, they're dynamic, and they our life experience teaches us a lot. I was using the example yesterday when I was talking to Jamila about this, saying that basically my first experience with somebody of the Muslim faith, because where I live, we don't have a lot of people that are practicing Muslim. We have some. We have a mosque here, and we have an imam, and we have, of course, a population here. But in general, it's not a large population, okay? So my first real experience being exposed to that was when I went to Singapore, when I was in the military about 15, 20 years ago. I went to Singapore, and I met somebody from Malaysia that was, and she taught me a lot, and I learned a lot, and so over time, my life experience has taught me more about that. It's the same thing. With people of the Jewish faith. Same thing with people that are atheists, that don't have So these life experiences tend to shape our views. And hopefully it's a positive shaping. Hopefully it's not a negative shaping, okay? Exactly. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry. You and I both raised Christian, Rick. I mean, it says in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. And the most ethical thing is the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill, etc., etc. As long as you keep to the Ten Commandments, and you're not, if you don't follow the peer pressure, and are pressuring the lying, stealing, and cheating, as long as you keep to your faith and live your faith for the rest of your life, then you show good ethics. But if you fall in with the wrong crowd and go into drugs, then you lose your ethics. As long as you keep your ethics and live a good life, then you're well off and respected. But if you go down the wrong path, you lose your ethics, and also you lose your people won't respect you as much. And I think ethics and respect go hand in hand. If you're very ethical, that you'll get respect, and people will respect you, as it says in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Treat others as you would like to be treated.
Yeah. Well, one thing that Rose, you brought up that is also, I think, very important. You talked about how, because you're a teacher and you see that you believe that sometimes children are losing their sense of what is ethically right or right or wrong, right? The difference between right and wrong. And actually, a school environment is really important, because think about, if you think for a minute about the, you see somebody cheating in a classroom, right? You see a kid cheating. They're looking at somebody else's, answers on a test or on a quiz, right? And if you allow that to happen, what you're doing is you're condoning or you're accepting that cheating is okay, which we know ethically it's not okay, okay? It's not okay, right? So you know, so that's a good example of one scenario in a classroom environment. The other one might be people bullying each other, right? Somebody being bullied, okay, being picked on by other kids, okay? So actually an educational environment, school environment, particularly for younger people, that's not always so much the university level, but the primary school, secondary school level is actually very, very important that that institution try to instill, you know, some of these ethical, you know, boundaries, right?
Yeah. It's actually a pattern of a greater society. It's a small pattern.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, my very much concern about my students is that you can see that they are the most the biggest problem with recent generation, as you see, at least in my class or in our school. Although it is a private school, and most of the students there are coming from kind of rich families. So I suppose that they are well, I suppose that they must be at least trained, well raised, with good manners and behaviors and moralities. So, but what I see among my students is that they are so impolite and they use very offensive words which are not suitable for their age. And also they make fun of each other, so humiliating each other, and they start laughing and bullying around. And I don't care about cheating on exam or these kind of things. They're very small when I want to come to comparison. So I care about when they make fun of each other and start laughing. I can see that a lot, not only among my students, but in other classrooms as well. And also using offensive and rude words. And this is really bothering. And I think that we have to do something about that, really.
Where do you think that's coming from, Rose? Where do you think, why are they doing that, do you think?
Well, based on some discussions that I had with their parents, I come to this point that usually you hardly, it's my idea, I don't know whether it is a right opinion or not. I see that most of the mothers, at least, admit that their husband have such behavior,